Are you ready to get your health back but feel overwhelmed by the endless healthcare options? We believe God has called each of us to a specific assignment, and we want to make sure your body, mind, and heart are up for the task. It's time to simplify the process of healing. At Cornerstone Integrative Healing, we offer simple, effective, easy ways to prioritize your health and gain understanding. No prescription pad needed. I'm Carrie Cootie, a pharmacist turned integrative health practitioner. I'm so excited to have these conversations around topics with my friend, Jen.
Hi there, I'm Jen, and together with our team at Cornerstone Integrative Healing, we offer an alternative to traditional healthcare, combining our expertise and experience in the medical field with our knowledge and faith to break the cycles of guessing what's wrong. We know the road to healing, feeling good again, can be overwhelming. You can expect honest conversations around the ups and downs of healing. The truth is, there are so many layers to healing. Because we've taken the time to learn where true healing comes from, we've learned how to help other women discover a different way of caring for themselves. Join us every week for new episodes as we discuss topics that are personal and pertinent to your healing journey.
Welcome back into the Cornerstone Integrative Healing Podcast. It's Carrie here with my co-host, Jen. And we're coming back in for another great episode. If you've been with us for a little bit, you know that we talk a lot about foundational type of things. And so today on the podcast, we just wanted to discuss a few things that are very important to the bigger picture of why your foundations continue to get depleted and why sometimes working on your foundations isn't the whole picture. I know that's sometimes it might come across like that, and they are so important. So that's why we talk about them a lot. But there are things that really influence, your foundations being depleted over time. And so we're going to talk about two important things today. One is the immune system immune burdens, and then toxicity or toxic burdens. And yeah, I think this is a really a big missing piece because, again, a lot of people, specifically women, they're just told, balance your blood sugar, heal your gut, support your hormones. These are things that you probably hear a lot, and they're not. It's not bad things. They're not wrong. It's just rarely asked, like, what is your body carrying that makes these systems harder? So that's kind of the whole premise of setting up what we're going to talk about today, because the foundations of your health don't collapse randomly. They collapse because they're under load. And so kind of determining what that load is while also strengthening your foundations is the key to really getting out of that symptom cycle that a lot of people find themselves in. So, Jen, what do you think about it?
I think this is a major piece that mainstream misses. We see
also
a lot
holistic misses and functional medicine misses, right?
Yeah. I just feel like let me think about that. I feel like, yes, they do. I understand what you're saying. Like, they're just giving you supplements to support the foundations. And a lot of them do really dig deep, do a lot of testing, look for this stuff, right? But I think kind of where the rubber hits the road is the individuality for each person, right? Yeah. And so when we're looking at toxin burden, a lot of people think, oh, I was exposed to something, or, it was one huge exposure or one thing. When in reality, we're constantly being exposed, all the time over many different aspects of life. And so we're talking about the accumulation over time, and that matters for the body. Not only that, but how you detox, right? So genetically, some of us have genetic variations that cause us not to be as good of a detoxer. The most talked about, I would say, is the MTHR, the methylene tetrahydrofolate reductase enzyme, which can really affect how we methylate, which is a process of detoxification, right? So COMT, that's another one, COMT, that's another big one that I think people talk about, especially in relation to estrogen. So what we wanted to talk about is, a lot of just, basically, where do those toxins come from? How does our body deal with them? And then, what can we do to kind of support that? And what does it look like when it's not being supported, right? What are the symptoms? So, So let's just talk about environmental exposures. This is probably something that people aren't aware of that they probably should be. Air quality, huge, especially where I live at certain times, is definitely something. Water. So, water, especially tap water, you're exposed to fluorides, chemicals. Believe it or not, a lot of pharmaceuticals, residual pharmaceuticals in the water. Pesticides, whether you're spraying your lawn or not, if both your neighbors are spraying their lawns, right, it's going to wave off into, blow into your property most likely. Mold. Do you live in an old house? Do you work in an old building? Do you have other immune burdens that might make mold more of an issue for you? So environmental exposures, and I would put EMFs in that category also. Are you a businessman or woman? Do you travel frequently? You are more exposed, in an airplane to ionizing radiation. EMFs, we're all surrounded by EMFs. Actually, the military did a lot of research on this early on because some of the men in their submarines were getting sick. And if you dig deep, you can find this research, but basically they figured out it was, the EMFs. So EMFs are real, and do make a difference in the way that our physiology works and functions well. Um,
Um, do you wanna talk about what EMFs are? Just really briefly? I don't know if people know. I
yeah.
think they hear that term, but
Yeah, sure. So EMFs are electromagnetic fields. So those are your Wi-Fi. Those are the signals that the phone cell towers put out.
mm,
Where else?
yeah, I'm just thinking anything Bluetooth,
Bluetooth.
anything
Right.
not wired in your home
Right.
is
Anything not wired. Right. The wireless speakers. Those are all
I mean,
putting
just
out.
anything like that. Yeah, just
Right.
a brief I think we hear that term, but I just wanted to make sure people understood
Yeah,
what it
for
was.
sure. Yeah, thank you. So, and because there's more Wi-Fi, more Bluetooth, more,
Yeah,
right.
everything's that now. I
Right.
mean, pretty
Right.
much. Yeah.
Right. So the body still has to deal with all of those. So, none of those are per se, maybe in small amounts, a problem. It's the total load. We're getting it from all aspects. We're getting the environmental, we're getting the food related stuff, right? Our additives. There's pesticides, residual stuff, ultra processed foods, not to mention your household and personal care exposure. So your cleaning products, the fragrances you wear, plastics, if you're storing food in plastics. Um, I say for women, personal care is probably one of the biggest ones. Food dyes. So it's the accumulation over time, and then our personal, maybe genetic disposition or lack of lifestyle foundation. So we're just not eating the foods that support liver detox, right? You need certain compounds to support those detox pathways, and so. Basically, the body is not doing maybe as good of a job of detoxing as it could be because it's not supported well, right? So we want to avoid exposure. We want to, eat foods that support detoxification, and we can obviously supplement that with nutraceuticals or whole food nutrients that support those pathways, so that what we get is a more balanced picture of what our body's ability to detox as well as the demand of detoxing, right? So with modern life, that detox demand has gone up and up and up and up and up, right? Until that load has exceeded our capacity to detox. And so that's when people start to notice things like the fatigue, the headaches, the skin issues, hormonal issues, sensitivities where maybe they once didn't have them, allergies. Um, it's all, not because the body stopped working, but that the rain barrel is now getting full,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it's working very hard to get rid of these things, and it's not getting the substances it probably needs to detox, and then the load is too high.
Yeah. I love how you explained all of that, and I think sometimes it's really easy to have a lot of fear around all of the different ways that we can be exposed to toxins, and even if you've taken a lot of steps to, improve your air quality, to improve your water quality, to not, spray pesticides on your lawn or, your cleaning products, your personal care, all of these are all things that, we can do better in, but you're still gonna be exposed. You know, it's just a fact of modern life. And so I think people they can get caught up in that, and then there's a lot of fear around that. We're not saying that you should have fear around that. We're saying do what you can do, but also think about how you can support your body better so that the demand is a little bit less and your ability is a little bit more.
Right. Exactly. So, obviously decreasing demand. So watching, our environment and our exposure as much as we can, as Carrie said, but also looking at ways that you can maybe change your diet to increase supporting detoxification pathways, simple things like, increasing or supporting, like I said, that phase 1, phase 2 liver detox, red peppers, egg yolks, more cruciferous vegetables, more color in your diet. Those are all simple compounds. So like sulfurs in the cruciferous, that's one of the main detox pathways in the liver is a sulfur-based, pathway. The colors, the carotenoids, those are high antioxidants. That's another pathway. So, when they're talking about, incorporating these foods, it's based on science, right? Like really supporting those pathways. So you can do it through your diet. Can you get everything to your diet? Maybe it probably depends on your genetics, right? Some of us are just, have a predisposition. So, what we need to do is do the best we can and not worry about the rest, right? Again, we're not talking about fear, but, to kind of transition into immune burden, where toxic burden and immune burden sort of overlap, is because they can create this chronic immune activation, right? So, some of the physical exposure, so like mold, right? That will definitely cause immune dysregulation. You know, it's EMFs. There's crazy like video showing how EMFs literally affects our white blood cells and red blood cells. It's kind of cool to watch, actually. Um, and so the other piece of this that we really focus on a lot in our practice is the immune piece, because there is, again, not something that mainstream really recognizes, I feel like, is chronic underlying. And when I say chronic underlying, I mean subclinical. So if you would go to your doctor, they probably wouldn't find anything, right? Um, they're looking at your labs and they say they look okay. But meanwhile, your white blood cells are on the low side of normal, or what we would consider low, or maybe high side of normal. Their value goes all the way up to 11 or 12, I think, probably
Yeah.
11. We sort of start to, our antennas perk up when you're around 7 white blood,
Yeah.
white blood cell count. So looking at the differentiation of those white blood cells too, right? The different white blood cells are their
Mhm.
different patterns. So, chronic immune activation will lead to something, an imbalance. And most likely that can show up like autoimmunity. We just wanted to explain how the immune system and the different parts sort of work. There's the innate system, which is the quick response, right? It's the initial um, response to a pathogen, right? There's something wrong, and the white blood cells move toward that pathogen, stress, or whatever to engulf it and get rid of it. And then there's the adaptive system, right? The adaptive system is recognizing whatever that is and producing antibodies, so that other parts of the body and the other cells know and can say, hey, look, like this is a bacteria. We need to get rid of this. It needs to be tagged and getting rid of. So within that adaptive system, there's two arms, or how the body responds, Th1 and Th2, which I think is talked about a lot, basically. And so we just want to explain this in relation to autoimmunity, because it's important that people sort of understand that, right? So Th1 and Th2 are the helper T cell responses. So the Th1 is the attack and kill. So it targets viruses, intracellular infections, cell mediated, often very dominant with like chronic viral infections, mold exposure. Then after all that, autoimmune patterns, long-term inflammation. And then we have the Th2, which is the antibody cleanup. So it targets parasites, allergens, toxins. It's repair-oriented. But this is what becomes overactive in the autoimmune. You'll also see it obviously allergies. This is Th2 is histamine issues. Mast cell activation, the Th2 has become out of balance. So what we want to do is keep the Th1 and Th2 constantly in balance. And what happens though when we say for example, there's a liver and there's hepatitis, and so there's chronic turnover of cells, right? There's cell death, and the body doesn't want your liver or your gallbladder to become a liver and vice versa. So it has a self cleanup mechanism. There's auto antibodies that we produce to kind of get rid of that necrotic tissue that has died, right? The problem is those auto antibodies, sometimes they can't distinguish all the time between alive tissue, dead tissue, and so it starts attacking the healthy tissue. And that's what autoimmune is, right? And so in order to sort of balance that Th2 response, we need to support the innate system too, and support the initial Th1, right? Like what is going on that caused that imbalance. Okay. So what we need to do is always keep these in balance. And, in my opinion, this is, again, not medical advice. This is, if you see of a lot of the integrative, MDs, DOs talk about is that, if we would concentrate more on the subclinical immune things, viruses, bacteria, parasites huge in this, right? In this sort of field, integrative medicine. Mainstream doesn't really think they exist. So if we would really concentrate on that and clear those, as well as, which we talk about all the time, focusing on the foundations, minerals, keeping our blood sugar stable. Keeping your blood sugar stable, one of my mentors, he was an herbalist, said is like the number one thing, because when your blood sugar is low, your tissues are very vulnerable to infection.
Yeah.
So anyway, we want to focus on the foundations first and foremost, right? We need the nutrients. Your body will do what it needs to do if you give it the nutrients. I think we get caught up, Carrie, you said this, maybe even with integrative functional medicine, caught up in killing and detoxing and clearing, right?
Yeah.
Our body was made to do this stuff if you provide it the raw materials it needs.
Yeah, and it's a good point. There's definitely a time and a place for detoxing, like providing extra specific detox support or killing whatever
Oh, yes.
off.
I'm
But
not
like,
saying don't do that.
right. But I know. But if you find yourself constantly needing to do that, I think that's a problem. Like that's what we're saying. Like there's a missing piece somewhere. What is
Correct.
causing your body to constantly like hold on to these things and not be in balance? And you know, it's just a bigger picture that we wanted you to hopefully see.
Yes. And I think I would be remiss here to not talk about biofilms since we're talking about infections. Again, this is a phenomenon that's very popular in integrative care, holistic care. And that is the concept of there's this biofilm, this sticky slime sort of that protects the pathogen from the immune system or any killing agent, really. And so a lot of times, and I know we've talked about this before, we'll look at a CBC and differential, look okay, we'll do some biofilm work and then redo a CBC. And all of a sudden, the CBC and the differential looks totally different. It's now showing a viral pattern, right? Or showing a bacterial pattern or parasites or something. And so, again, super important. Those buggers are smart. There's lots of things to evade the immune system. Epstein-Barr, it actually down-regulates its genome not to alert the immune system that it's there, which is crazy to me. Some parasites will down-regulate our inflammatory markers, again, not to alert the immune system that it's there. So yeah, our best defense is preventative care, right? And it's like basics. We don't get enough vitamin A. those are key. Vitamin A is key for the mucous membranes, right? Our nose, our mouth, our eyes, where pathogens enter. We don't eat the traditional foods. We don't eat liver and heart, and we just don't eat that stuff anymore. Although it's getting more, I think, popular,
Yeah.
right? The ancestral
For
lens
sure.
and things. Thank God. Anyway, I'm getting off track, but we're talking about the immune system is meant to do its job, turn off, and then right be done. The problem, everybody talks about inflammation. Inflammation isn't the problem. It's not the problem. It's unresolved inflammation. That's the
Yeah.
problem. It's the lingering low-grade infections and inflammation that's the problem.
Yeah, because that drains the body in
Right.
essence. Yeah.
Right. And that's that chronic immune burden, right? Viral, bacterial, parasitic, mold exposure, gut imbalances, food antigens, inflammatory signaling from toxins or stress. And the immune system is it's not overreacting. It's signaling all those things, right?
Yeah.
So what we want to do is to remove those burdens so the inflammation can do its work, which is to heal. Inflammation in and of itself is not
Yeah.
bad. We need
Right.
inflammation. That's how we heal, right? But again, we have to let the inflammation do its work and then remove the stressor, and then the inflammation is resolved.
Yeah.
Um,
I know you've mentioned several vitamins as we kind of close up here, which was good. I I think too, right along with that, obviously, is minerals, right? I mean, when we have
yes.
a high toxin load, that displaces minerals, and so that's a
Yes.
big reason why we can't detox properly from
Yeah.
the toxins that are causing the minerals to be displaced, right? It's like this whole cycle.
Same thing with the chronic immune activation, right? It depletes
Yeah,
our minerals and vitamins.
yeah,
So a lot of people will say, like, I'm exhausted, but my labs are fine. I feel inflamed all the time. I'm doing all the things, but still not getting better. Those are key signs there's something chronic underlying. Toxin, immune burden, something. And then Carrie, do you want to talk? I mean, we would be remiss not to talk about the immune system and the nervous system.
Oh, right. Yeah, they kind of go hand in hand, right?
Right.
The immune system listens to the nervous system, and if the body feels unsafe, the immune system is on alert, just like, we've talked about how the nervous system is on alert. So, you know, when you think about this, healing isn't just, kill, 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 chasing, kind of, you end
Right.
up chasing your tail if you kind of only look at that. That's part of it. But why is it constantly turned on, right? We've talked about this a little bit. It's just kind of we need to give our immune system the permission to rest. And if it doesn't get that, why is that, right? It might be because something is triggering your nervous system that's then triggering your immune system. It all works together. Um, and,
Yeah,
talk,
cortisol I'm sorry to interrupt you, but cortisol, which is your stress hormone,
yeah.
severely impairs the immune system.
Yes. And, I was just reading a little bit more about toxins and kind of the burden that they have and play in this. Some of these are neurotoxins. So they actually turn on your nervous system just by being present in your body, right? I mean, so
Glutamate,
if you're focusing
huge
on
one.
your nervous system and you're doing all the breathing exercises, you're doing all these, all the things, and you just still feel like it's not necessarily working or you have to do it all the time, that's really not the goal, right? We got to figure out what is causing your immune system your nervous system to be on standby all the time and turned on. And toxins are a big part of that. We're very heavy in toxins because we just live in a toxic world. And there's tons of things that play to that, but hopefully
Yes,
that
and
makes
my
sense.
pet I have to mention this because it's a little
Yes.
bit of a pet peeve. Glutamate is a neuroexcitant. Glutamate, as in monosodium glutamate, MSG. Do you know how many
Mm.
kids are exposed to MSG? And the biggest one, I'm so sorry, but goldfish,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
I'm
99.9%.
sorry, we just bursted your bubble.
I know, please don't give your kids goldfish, please, please.
Like, listen, they're probably gonna get them somewhere, but
Right,
do
which
not
is
buy them for your house, okay?
right,
Like,
right.
you cannot control all the things,
No.
but don't buy them in your house.
Yes, anyway, you just said that, and I thought, "Oh,
Yeah,
that's
it's
like
true.
one
I
of the
mean,
major neuroexciting toxins that's very prevalent in our food supply." So,
and
glutamate.
I know Doritos are another one as well
Oh,
that have a
huge.
lot of yeah,
MSG, yep.
yeah.
Yep.
And, and so it's like, listen, we're not trying to like steal all of your fun or like shame you because you bought goldfish or anything like that. But it's just really some things to consider.
Correct.
Really, right? Like all those things are sprayed with glyphosate also.
Now we're really busting balls. Sorry.
But okay, to kind of pull it all together, okay, toxic burden, like we were talking about, increases immune burden.
Yep.
Immune burden increases nutrient depletion, right? Because your immune
Yes.
system is using up those nutrients. Nutrient depletion reduces how well your body can detox. And then
Right.
that cycle keeps reinforcing itself if you don't really approach it correctly. So hopefully that makes sense in the way that we explained it and how these two things fit together with the foundations that we talk about a lot, right? So that's why we look at both of those things. We strengthen the foundations. We look to see what burdens are there. Is it a high toxic load? Is it your immune system is really, has some type of burden that we can try to eliminate?
It's
All
rarely
while
one piece. Sorry.
it's really never
Right.
one piece, but you got to look at all of them and remove that burden so that your foundations can strengthen and stick, right? They can stay strengthened. So that's how you get out of the symptom cycle that a lot of people find themselves in. It's really those things working together. So hopefully that makes sense. And I hope you leave this podcast feeling a little bit more informed, not scared,
Right.
not fearful. We don't want that at all. I think it's important to know, right? It's like, I know have a lot of conversations with people. I'm sure they ask both of us questions. Hey, I have this going on. What could be going on? And they're talking like they've listened to a lot of things, right? Hopefully you know about all these things that we're talking about. I hope we put it all together for you and kind of helped it make sense a little bit more, because it's one thing to hear these random things, but it's another to really understand how they're all working together. So
Yes.
we enjoyed it. Jen got really excited when she could talk about
Sorry.
goldfish. So we might
Sorry
need
about
to do more on on the foods
Maybe
that, you might want to consider not having in your home. Hey, let us know if you'd like to hear about that. We'd love to talk more about it. See you guys on the next episode. Thanks for joining.
If this episode has served you in any way, drop a review wherever you listen to podcasts. We love it if you share any aha moments or takeaways on Instagram and tag us at Cornerstone Integrative Healing.
And if you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do so. We want to continue to walk this journey with you. Until next time, friends, know that we are praying for you.